Welcome to the Ben Wood Johnson podcast. You can visit Dr. Johnson's blog at benwoodpost.com. Dr. Johnson's works can be found at drbenwoodjohnson.com. You can also support Dr. Johnson on Patreon, the link to which is in the description. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ben Wood Johnson podcast. Welcome back for another episode. Today is Monday, October the 16th, 2023. This is podcast number 79. Once again, I am happy to have you back. I appreciate you standing by, listening to me talking about my personal plight. Today is the last installment for season 11. And I intend to be back, at least to come back with another season sometimes in December or January. Please be on the lookout for that. But today is to wrap up the conversation we've been having. I'll be honest with you, it's been a tough time. It's been a long journey as well. I've left home for a long time, and I want to go home. I just want to. I'm tired of being here. I'm not being treated fairly in this country. And sorry to say it, because some people might see things differently, but my reality is what it is. And so I wanted to use this opportunity to put this podcast out there for the world to know, because sometimes people tend to deny other people's suffering simply because they're not in your shoes. But I wanted to put it out there, whatever the consequences may be, but I wanted to put it out there. It is always a pleasure to talk to you about philosophy, to talk about everyday life. So talking about my personal plight was within the context of talking about regular philosophy, because at the end of the day, to withstand what I am going through, you have to be philosophically grounded. And I am philosophically grounded. I'm able to see the world for what it is. And this is giving me insights as to how to navigate the realities that I'm going through. It was a pleasure to have you for this season. And without further ado, let us delve right into it. I am no stranger to hardships. I am no stranger to hard times, difficult moments. I'm not a coward to the extent that I cannot withstand the realities of life. But I've been in the middle of a storm since a few years. This year in particular, the storm seems to be racking up its power, its intensity. It's getting wild up. It's getting vicious. It is out for blood, so to speak. There's a thirst in the storm to get me down, to get my family down. And there are so many individuals that I have somewhat identified from afar or from close within that are part of that storm that are making it happen. Where I am from, I am used to evil. And what I mean by that is that I'm not a stranger to what's wrong, to what's bad. To what's malicious, because I came from a place where that's what most people do. And not to belittle my people, but there's a reality where I am from where people are likely to hurt you, and I've been hurt my whole life. And this podcast, considering that it is a series about me personally, you can relate to things that I've talked about here so far. You could deny things that I've talked about here so far, but the reality remains as is. I've been around BS, I've been around things, and I've seen things. So I have been around those things, and they have strengthened me. The old adage what doesn't kill you makes you stronger rings true to me. I am going through some of the most, I would say, the most difficult times in my life. The world seems to be against me. People from all walks of life, at least in my little circle, they're after me. Though I'm not saying this to sound conspiratorial, I'm saying this to express a truly, genuinely felt emotion. And every day I wake up with the desire to withstand that reality of that feeling that I have. So I'm paying attention to the people around me. I'm paying attention to what they do, what they don't do, what they say, what they don't say, how they say it, or how they do. And I'm picking up those I could single out from the crowd as a potential enemy, or as a potential savior, or a potential friend. So that's what I do. And as I identify these individuals, I know how to position myself in relation to that person, how to behave around that person, not to give that person the opportunity to harm me, and at the same time, not to give that person the wrong impression in case I need him or her as an ally. This has been my strategy. This has been how I survive. Now, I have to admit that a few years ago, the target was just me. And it was quite easier to navigate the world when you are the target and you know they're gunning for you. And you can sort of dodge whatever it is that they're throwing at you, and you can sort of manipulate yourself to the extent that you manipulate the outcomes of whatever it is that they're looking for. But what I found is that I'm not only the target now. My whole family is the target. They're going after every person in my family, from my wife to my last child. And it's not even something that I can explain in words because of the conspiratorial nature of these things. A lot of people that are ignorant as to what the world is about are going to question the validity of what I am saying here, saying, what you're saying is nonsense. Well, here's one thing I want you to understand. The world is not what you think it is. Not everything you cannot see doesn't exist or is not around you. In fact, it's always the opposite. In fact, the world that you see is nothing that resembles the world that you are actually living into. So you are surrounded by entities that you don't know. So I have been on the receiving end of all these things, of all these attacks, these desires to bring me down and to bring my family down. But what I wanted to say specifically is this. The world is not what you think it is. Right? You have to be spiritually connected with your world, like I am. I am spiritually awoken. I'm not woke, just to be clear, but I'm awoken. And there's a big difference. I'm not aware of nonsense. I'm not propagating nonsense. I'm aware of the world as it is. Therefore, I am awoken. I'm paying attention to the things that I see and the ones that I can't see, but I can only perceive either physically or mentally or spiritually. I'm attuned to my reality. I understand the power of evil. I understand what people can do to undermine you at every possible level. So I'm aware of this. Aware of the reality around me and the intent of those who are trying to undermine me. Okay? And I've talked about this a few in the previous podcast. Recently, there were a few individuals who thought laying down some traps for me would be the way to undermine me, to discourage me, to make me second guess myself, to make me doubt myself, my capacity. And one of these individuals, in the last time I sort of meet with that person didn't show their face. And I wanted to see that face one last time. But the person knew, and that person didn't show their face. Okay. So now I understand. It was a confirmation for me that day. Okay. It was a confirmation. Because I knew what that person was doing. I understood. But I didn't bring it out. Like, okay, I know what you're doing. I kept quiet. Just kept observing every move that person was making. But in the end, that person revealed herself to me. The person revealed herself to me. And it was quite obvious what was going on. And to this day, that person has not addressed me in any way, shape, or form. That person automatically became my enemy. At least, according to that individual, whom not once or done something wrong to you, but effectively that person turned herself into an irrefutable enemy. And the things that are happening in the shadow, those are things that I can see. You see, I have this ability, and not to boast, not to brag, that when I go to sleep, when I go to bed, there are a lot of things that's happening in this world that involve me, that I can see them in my dream. Okay? I can see faces, I can see people, I can hear things that was said in my absence, and the universe brought those information to me. I am connected to my universe. I'm aware of my world. So anything that was uttered about me that is of significance, it has to be important. It has to be of a significance that whatever it is that was said is in fact going to affect me. If I lay my head in bed, I'll hear it. And I'll even see the person. And that's how I've been alive for all these years. So when I was younger, my mom used to do those things. My mom used to talk about those things. And I used to like, that's nonsense. Nobody has the ability to see these things. And I dismissed it my whole youth, my whole life as a young man. And my mother passed away, and I woke up one day and realized, wait a minute, I am my mother now. And I'm proud to say I am my mother to the extent that I understand the world as she did, if not better. Because I have something that my mother didn't have. I have an education. My mother didn't have an education. She didn't get as high as I got. She didn't reach the pinnacle of education as I have. And by the way, in a country that is not my own, in a language that is not my own. And as I'm speaking to you right now, I am not speaking my native tongue. I am not speaking with my native tongue. This is not to tell you how powerful I am and whatnot. This is to explain to you how I am connected with my world. So my mother didn't get to that, yet she was a powerful being. That's why when she died, I was destroyed. I'm like, how could she die? How could this have happened? And that's why I am twice as cautious, because I have seen my mother go down. Okay? And she was a cautious person. She understood her world, understand the people around her. So now it is up to me to do the same. It is up to me to protect my family, to protect my children, to protect my wife. And to all of you out there who have targeted me in one way or another, rest assured that I know who you are.